Dirty Bria Hartley, back at it again with her shenanigans. And this time, her eyes were locked on one target. Sophie, the Trophy Cunningham. The Indiana Fever pulled out an overtime win against the Connecticut Sun. But let's be real, this wasn't triumph. This was survival. Kelsey Mitchell exploded for 38 points. Sophie Cunningham went down with a brutal knee injury. And Bria Hartley turned reckless into criminal. This game revealed everything wrong and everything fragile. The Fever entered this matchup with playoff hopes dangling by a thread. Facing the Connecticut Sun, a team with one of the league's worst records, should have been straightforward. Instead, it turned into chaos. Think about it. The Fever needed overtime to beat a 6-27 squad. That's not dominance. That's desperation. Every possession felt heavier than it should have been. Every missed shot, a reminder this team is far from steady. When you're clinging to the last playoff spot, games like these aren't about style. They're about survival. But what does it say when survival takes everything out of you? Fans expected an easy ride. Instead, they got a roller coaster nobody asked for. From the opening tip, Indiana looks flat, unprepared, out of rhythm. By halftime, they were down 20. That's not a playoff mentality. That's playing with fire. And while the scoreboard shows a win, anyone who watched knows this game raised more questions than it answered. The Fever showed grit, yes, but also how fragile they've become without depth and leadership. Now let's get straight to the ugliest moment. Bria Hartley barreled into Sophie Cunningham's leg like she was auditioning for an NFL offensive line. That wasn't accidental. That was reckless. A football cut block. Illegal in every sense of the word. Watch her eyes. She's looking right at Sophie's leg before collapsing. That's not clumsy. That's targeted. This is what makes fans furious. Sophie's been the glue holding Indiana together since Clark went down, and Hartley ripped that apart. She should be staring at a 20-game ban for that nonsense. Call it what it is. Dangerous, dirty, and unforgivable. You can't call yourself a professional and pull stunts like that, because that isn't basketball. That's a cheap shot straight out of a playbook this league should never tolerate. And let's not pretend this is new for Hartley. She's been reckless everywhere she's been, always on the edge of control. But last night, she crossed the line. The league can't shrug this off with just a fine or a short suspension. If you want to protect stars, if you want fans to take the product seriously, you have to set the standard. Hartley has no place endangering players like Sophie Cunningham. But let's not just stop at Hartley. Where was the Connecticut coach in all of this? When a player repeatedly acts out of control, responsibility doesn't end with the player. It begins with leadership. Coaches set the culture. They decide what's tolerated, what's reinforced, what's allowed to continue. Hartley's reckless play has been obvious for a long time, and yet nothing was done to rein it in. That's why this falls directly on the Connecticut sideline. They let this simmer until it boiled over into a dangerous hit that could sideline one of Indiana's most important players. Good coaches keep players disciplined, smart, and aware of the line. Instead, we saw a coach who either looked the other way or didn't care enough to fix it. That makes him just as responsible when a player like Hartley dives at knees. And the consequences aren't just for Sophie. They ripple across the entire league. Injuries like these derail seasons, kill playoff dreams, and put careers in jeopardy. When Sophie went down, the entire arena went silent. You could see it in the players' faces. They knew this wasn't just another knock. Trainers rushed in. Towels came out to cover the scene, and Sophie couldn't even put weight on her leg. That's when fear set in for the Fever. Losing Sophie is more than losing a starter. She's been the glue of this roster, the tough defender, the scrappy playmaker, the steady presence through all the chaos of Clark's absence. She doesn't whine, she doesn't make excuses. She just competes. And suddenly, she was gone. For the Fever, for the fans, for the league, this wasn't just another injury. This was a turning point. If you want to stay locked in on every twist of this story, make sure to hit subscribe.